Do you see the water and hear the birds? One day, Pocahontas was out on the water, maybe paddling a canoe, traveling along a river. Here's a song that Pocahontas made famous. While she was traveling along the river, Pocahontas stopped by a sandy beach and got out of the canoe. And the wind was blowing. And as the wind was blowing across a big old log, she heard a sound like this. A very big log with the wind blowing across it made a big low sound like that. The wind was blowing across another fence post. It wasn't as big as the log, but as the wind blew across a hole in that fence post, it made that kind of sound. And the log still made noises. And it sounded like music. The wind was blowing and blowing, and there was a tiny little rod or reed somewhere, and the wind blew across a smaller thing and made a sound like this. Across the fence post. And across the big log. All those different sounds like music. The wind was making music, like different colors of the wind. Pocahontas got back into her canoe and paddled some more. She thought about the wind. And she wondered what makes that music. Birds singing, wind humming, the colors, the musical sounds of the wind. And she found something else. It looked like a kind of a big seed pod just laying on the ground. And it had some holes in it. And when the wind blew through this, she played with it. She played with the holes, and the sound changed. Well, there's another color of the wind. The next day, when she stopped in another place, she found some sticks on the ground, and those sticks were hollow. Some were short, some were long, and each one, they made different sounds. So if it was a little smaller, a little narrower, or a little shorter, the sound was higher. And if it was just a little bit fatter, the sound was lower. So she played with the sticks to make all different kinds of sounds. Sometimes you see sticks that are all put together, small and large. and played like long flutes. So that's kind of like a flute, isn't it? Maybe that's how flutes were born. Someone found sticks on the ground, they were hollow, and they made them into flutes like that, made of wood. Don't know. Well, Pocahontas got into her canoe, and the next day she was paddling along again. She had an idea. Well, what if we had a stick like this, and instead of finding lots of different sticks, we just had one and we put some holes in it. Do you think that could make it play different sounds? And so what happened is a wooden stick with many holes looked like this. Do you see those little holes? And that could change the sounds. And there's a flute. So all that happened to make that sound was wind blowing, a hollow stick, and now we've got some holes. Lots of things to think about where wind instruments began. What if she took a bunch of, we call them reeds, narrow sticks like this, that she could blow into and make different sounds, and put them all together in a little box? Well, that's what a harmonica is. It's a box that holds what we call reeds, and when you blow the reeds, they wiggle. The long ones sound low. Oops, wrong end. And the little ones sound high. So there are about 12 reeds in here, and as you play them, it goes from low to high, low to high, or high to low. But the wind that I'm blowing, just like the wind that blew on the bottle, the wind blowing across the reeds makes them wiggle and sound. And that's called a harmonica. Sounds that come from the wind. Well, after a while, some of these flutes that were made out of wood were experimented with, and they tried making them out of other materials like, silver. That comes from the earth too. Silver and tools that can bend and drill and make holes in the silver, and keys to push them, and that turned into a bigger flute, a silver flute that sounds like this. Oh my goodness, lots of sounds. This flute makes dozens of sounds because it has lots of keys and lots of holes. So there we have a flute. played with wind from my body, just like the wind was blowing across the bottles, across the logs and fence posts. We started with little wooden sticks, drilled holes into them, or put them in a box so there were lots of different sounds with the wind that comes from inside or outside. So nature outside, when the wind blows, makes music, and we can make music. We imitate nature with our wind, making music with instruments, just like Pocahontas did. Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? You can paint with all the colors of the wind. So next time you hear the wind blowing, or next time you hear a flute playing, remember those sounds came from nature, the gift of music, the colors of the wind.